most recent videos. Get out of here. All right. Yes, get out of here. Okay. So, all right. What I was saying was, I was so sick that now feeling any amount of good makes me think like I'm a superhero. So yeah, I constantly reevaluate now. This last week changed me.
Last week fundamentally changed you from a normal person to a sick person.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Yeah.
I was very ill last stream.
I mean, it sounds honestly like you're still really ill now. Also, by the way, I just now got a video feed of you from the Twitch stream. If you're fucking cold, then don't wear a tank top.
Yeah. But I couldn't find my sweatshirt. I mean, I was cold all day is what I'm saying.
No, it's fine. Anyways, welcome everybody to the Terramundi weekly stream. I'm Taylor Lanham. That's Corey Davis, and
this has gotten very professional all of a sudden. What is this?
I don't fucking know, man. I figure now we're at 21 streams. We gotta start actually doing something.
That just scared me. I didn't like how professional that was. Taylor, we're gonna have a real low-key stream today.
Oh, thank fucking God.
Psych.
That sounds tight as hell. I cannot wait.
You didn't hear me whisper psych, did you?
Oh.
No.
No, I didn't. I was really actually excited about like a very low-key stream.
So today, Taylor, we are going to, I think we'll have time to do one of them. Try to put one of our caravan ideas into a character sheet. So we'll be building that on stream, just an Excel sheet, Google Sheets sheet, character sheet like I did before. I invited you to it, so we'll build that together.
Is that through the Terramundi email, or is
yeah, it was through Terramundi.
Okay, one sec.
Yep.
Is it through the actual character sheet, or is it like a new one?
It's a new one, Caravan Sheets 1E. I shared it with the...
I think I've got it right here. Yeah, Caravan Sheet 1E. Okay.
So, yeah, we're gonna probably do one of those today. Because probably all we'll have time for. And we're also going to talk about damage resolution and like hit resolution. Because though we have talked about combat and we have a lot of combat worked out, we don't have like that main mechanic figured out for some reason. Which I noticed the other day, our last stream while we were building characters. I was like, oh boy, I hope nobody asks about this, because I just realized we don't have it.
Yeah, no, it was very much like a moment of like, oh, sick, this character has 11 health. What is that?
What does this mean? I have some ideas.
Just to clarify, were these the ideas that you sent me via Instagram earlier this week?
I think I sent you an idea for criticals this week.
Yes,
you did. Which definitely comes into play here. And I had some concerns about that, but I actually think that it's self-limiting. Because my biggest concern... So, my idea for criticals is as follows. If you roll... a successful, what is it?
I can read what you sent me if you want.
I got it right here. It's on my lunatic sheets. It's fine. A critical is 2 times whatever the DTV is, the TDV is, the target dice value.
Actually, Corey, I appreciate that you're reading off your Madman sheets. Can you at least bring the stream down to the mechanics section
No.
under basic roles? Because I actually do have it on there. It'll probably be easier for anybody who is, it's that highlighted bit.
Yep. We'll probably put this under basic rolls. So my idea for critical is if you roll more than 2 times whatever the target dice, 2 times whatever the target dice value is. So if it's a dice value of 7 and you roll a 16, that is a critical. And a crit failure is if you roll less than half of whatever the target dice value is. So in the same note, if it's a 7 and you roll a 3, that's a critical failure. Additionally, I had the idea that you could crit if you got if you rolled with a caravan resource as well, and you got the highest dice value on both of the die you were rolling. Right. Now, my concern with this, as I posited it to you, is that it actually would make sense to roll lower die value because as
you have a higher
chance of critting. Yeah, D4 you have a 25% chance, 16.7 on a D6, a 12.5, and then like a D12 it's like a 0.69% chance of critting.
Right.
However, it also means that like if you're rolling, like your highest chance of critting would then be rolling 2d4. So if I'm rolling my skill value at a d4, and because that's just the lowest skill I have, and I chose to roll a d4, I'm like, well, 50% chance, 25% chance I crit on this. However, that also means, based on the crit rules that I have set up, that any other roll that you make besides 2 4s would be a critical failure, not just a failure. So, because if you have to, at any roll that you make, if you're rolling 2 d4s and it is not an 8, would be like less than whatever it would be. Sorry, my fucking brain, dude.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having a little bit of trouble with this too. Explain that again.
Well, so if you're
a crit failure.
Well, pretty much like if you're rolling like if the target dice value is anything above an 8, and you're rolling 2d4, so you take the lowest die value from the caravan resource, and you're using a skill that you're not very proficient in.
Right.
Anything that you roll above, like below that, is going to be oh my god.
I see what you're saying. So basically, with 2d4, you have a really high possibility that you're going to roll a 4 or under, in which case it is a critical failure.
Yeah. So, like, I think it's self-limiting.
Yeah, sure. So it's basically like you could roll 2d4, and you technically do have a higher chance of... You have a higher chance of both, basically.
Yeah.
And it sounds actually like you have a way higher chance of crit failing.
You do.
On a 2d4 roll.
About a 75% chance.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I don't know how you feel about that, because that actually sounds really high for.
Well, I mean,
it should be.
That's the case if you're taking the lowest die value from the caravan resource. Your chance of critically failing goes down if you choose a higher dice value. So if you roll a d8 from that, you have a less chance of critting, but you have a higher chance of succeeding on the basic success.
Yeah.
So it presents a opportunity to be like, how do we want to play this? So
we're gonna need to figure something out here, because on the question of let's use the example of an 8 as a DTV. I remember a lot of my attributes were a 2 or a 3 when I left them. So if I have a skill that's a D4 and I'm using a 3 that I have an attribute in, which is supposed to be at least decent in the game, I mean, I can't make that, right? I have to use caravan resources to even hit that DTV.
I mean, if you're rolling it, I mean, That's the thing, though. You're rolling something that you're not as proficient in. So, yeah, it would make sense to use a caravan resource in that situation because, like, I have to hedge my bets here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, like, coming up with a DTV table is going to be, by the nature... Well, it is because by the nature of us using, like, building skill die... things are just going to be swingier. So that's something to keep in mind. That's something we definitely got to keep our eye on.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, I think that for what it's worth, for right now, that is a really solid crit system for what we have at this moment. So I have no issue with that. If you want to move on to damage resolution, then we can talk about that for sure.
Absolutely. So,
okay.
My basic system is as follows, and let me preface this by saying that we're going to talk about some things at the end that need to be discussed about the direction of our game moving forward from this.
And before you get started, can you scroll down to the damage resolution section?
Oh, you'd love that, wouldn't you?
I feel like I feel like Elstragoon would probably appreciate it. Yes.
So I wrote this out at work instead of working.
Right. Go on.
And I went through like a couple iterations, and I think this is what I settled on as the most elegant solution.
Okay.
But to roll to hit, you roll your skill die plus rank. In this case, if we're talking about a physical hit, we're talking about... Let me open up... Gotta take a peek at all of our crazy attributes, which isn't in here. Hold on 1 second. Gonna take everyone, be nice to me. Please don't be mean to me. Please don't hack me.
Wait, you're looking for attributes?
Yeah, wait, is that on that sheet?
It's up on the same doc. Just go under purchase skills. I've got like a whole table there.
Purchase skills. Where's that? Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, so for the case of a basic attack, let's talk ferocity plus brutality, right? You're going to roll your brutality skill die plus whatever your ferocity ranks are. If the value is greater than the target's movement, it is a hit. If it is greater than the target's armor nodes, then the target rolls to resist health node loss. If it is less...
Wait.
Yep.
Okay, so greater than the target's movement, if it's greater than the target's movement, it's a hit. If it's greater than the target's armor nodes, then they roll to resist health node loss.
Yes.
What do they roll?
Hold on. If it is less, and if it is less than the armor nodes, then they are going to roll to resist armor node loss instead of health node loss, because they're taking the hit to their armor instead of to their health.
Are the rolls different?
Yeah. So based on the idea of what we have to make up our health node and armor node section, I think is what the resistance rolls should be based on, right? So our in the case of how did we generate our armor nodes? That's clockwork. Where's this section, Taylor?
1 second.
Yes.
That is under the main character creation tab at the top of the document.
Okay.
Armor is Creatronics, Clockwork, Logica, Networks.
Hold on, let me get back to it. So it is... Sorry. Creatronics. I'm sorry, Logica Networks, and what was it?
Clockwork.
Clockwork. Okay. So you would make a clockwork hardiness plus your clockwork rank roll to resist armor, and then in the case of and what were the HP ones?
Oh, one sec, just moved off it.
Yep.
HP is Adaptation, Nebulae, and Ferocity.
Adaptation, Nebulae, and Ferocity. Probably your composure plus your adaptation to resist health nodes makes sense to me, or at least we can throw those down for right now.
Okay, so hang on one second.
Yep.
So Clockwork plus Hardiness to resist armor node loss. And I'm sorry, Adaptation, Composure?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool.
So this is where we're going to get into a question too.
Yeah.
What amount is reduced? Is a big one. I think that we're already in a multi-step, like, for this system, we'd already be in a multi-phase resolution system, which we've seen work in L5R. Like, we know that, like, multi-phase resolution is fine, but you have to have some sort of limitation on it, or you have to have some sort of gamification on it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So my idea is this basically to resist. You're just rolling against whatever they rolled to hit as the DTV. So if they rolled a 12, you're going to make that resistance roll against a 12. You have to beat a 12 in order to resist that damage. And then this is where we get into the question of, are we going to have damage die that are separate based on whatever weapon you're using? Or are we going to have damage resolved based on the dice roll that you already made? So one way that I can see that working based on the roll you already made is just taking the die value of whatever you rolled on your skill die as the reduction of node. So if you rolled a d8, instead of taking the plus rank, say you rolled a 3 on that d8 and you hit and they didn't resist, they would take 3 node loss in armor or health, whichever was hit.
Wouldn't it be 8?
No, say that, like, say you rolled a 3 and you had like a +5 for ranks, you would take just the roll. So if we...
I see.
Because I think if we add ranks to it, like, we want a deadly game, but, like, that is going to be incredibly deadly.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is like my little shrub dealer guy had like a health of like 3. Like he'd be done immediately.
And this is the case that, like, we're definitely going to have, like, this is, I think, maybe not problematic. This is the fact of the matter with our game. We have set up a game with enough moving parts that, like, you can build whatever you want, and some of those builds aren't going to be optimized for combat, right?
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
So, yeah, that's my basic concept. I think it, like, utilizes enough of the character sheet where, like, it's going to be, like, you can be good at armor and still be effective in combat. You could be good at your health and still be effective in combat. You could be good at hitting and be effective in combat. All of them take their own special build. The things that we'd have to worry about is, like, putting too much weight on, like, hardiness and clockwork as a resistance, or adaptation and composure as a resistance, or ferocity and brutality to hit. Whereas, like, how heavy combat is in your game is going to be like, well, I'm going to crank those up because those are the most important things in the game. And we don't want them to be the most important things in the game. We want it to be the most important thing if I want a character who hits really hard.
Right.
So that...
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. There's if we do go this route with it, I like the idea of rolling to resist. I am not sure whether... Like, I kind of like the idea of using the next highest die type from whatever your armor nodes are. So, like, saying, for example, let's say I have 7 armor nodes left, I would roll a d8. Or, like, if I have, like, 5 health nodes, then I would roll a d6.
To resist?
Yeah, when you resist.
I almost think it's better to stay within the context of what we have set up. And this is my worry, like, moving forward in anything that we're doing, is that, like, we have a framework all right now. And, like, this is what we were talking about with magic systems before, right? How a lot of the times they feel tacked on. I'm worried about introducing mechanics that don't play into the mechanics that we have already established. Like, we have attributes and skills. We should make those attributes and skills pertinent to the game for every aspect of what you're doing.
Pertinent is fine, but I gotta go back to what you said before. I mean, it really just seems like we're not making it pertinent, we're making it overwhelmingly necessary.
I mean, is it though? Because it's spread out, right? Right? Because, like, here, your HP, your health nodes, your armor nodes, and your movement nodes are all, what's the word I'm looking for? Are all derived statistics based on all of your attributes, right? So it's weighted evenly through all of those things. If I want a character who moves more, I'm going to increase these things. If I want a character with more health, I'm going to increase these things. When we're looking at, like, 2-hit and resistances and things like that, like, first off, I don't think that, like, it's always going to be ferocity plus brutality to hit. I think if you're doing, like, a graceful fighter, if we're using a weapon that, like, requires, what do they call that in D&D when you're hitting,
Finesse, you mean?
Yeah, like a finesse weapon, you'd probably be rolling obfuscation and grace, right?
Sure.
And if you were doing a magic attack, you'd be rolling nebulae and magum.
Sure. I'm not really worried about the actual hitting process. That makes perfect sense. You can vary that up enough. The question for me comes to the resistance rolls. Because if we are making those uniform across the board affecting health and armor nodes, and we're really prioritizing 1 or 2 like attributes and skills.
So
and the thing is, like, yeah, you can have some builds that aren't optimized for combat, sure, but the idea is that everyone is going into the delve together. Like, you're still going to be there, you're still going to be in a fuckload of danger, and I don't know, like, I worry that using that particular method is either going to result in somebody who has poured way too many points into those 2 skills, or it's going to be somebody who, like me, hasn't and just is going to get one-shotted like the second combat starts.
Well, I think when we look at the other skills, we also need to look at, like, yeah, before we're looking at resistance, we're looking at combat thing. It's also important to look at the other skills not as, like, not integral here, but as what they are, which is utility. Like, those skills have importance in utility, right? Like, my interrogation and parlay is integral to the group.
They are. I think that it might be a good idea if we're gonna go this route, and it might be a good idea to maybe separate these kind of things. Like,
I love you. Sorry, my dad was saying goodnight.
Do we have hardiness on this table twice?
Yeah, we do. Why is it under Logica?
I don't know. Hang
That
on.
should be archival, right?
No, archival is network.
Oh, yeah.
Give me just a minute, y'all. I'll have an answer for this.
Oh,
in a sec.
it's deductive.
Yeah.
No scope
fuck?
that.
super weird. Okay, give me a minute.
Yep.
Change that.
So-
What I'm getting at here is like, and using L5R again as an example because, you know, those are the games we're playing right now. Like, when you roll to resist a critical hit, you use your fitness skill. Like, that is what you are supposed to use. And that is totally fine, but it's only fine because they have mechanized basically every other skill in such a way that you wouldn't necessarily prioritize one over the other. Like,
yeah, but they
fitness...
mechanized every other skill in a way that, like, their utility. Like, if my character is completely social based in L5R, I'm gonna get my ass kicked in combat.
Sure.
And like, that's the same with any game that has a, like, skill point buy system. Like, Shadowrun's the same way, right?
Well, I didn't actually think Shadowrun was that way at all. I mean, to use our group as an example, I mean, we had somebody who was technically playing a face character. But they were also, like, an adept with, like, real good gun skills. Like, that was, like, probably not a good example.
Well, no, I mean, like, it is, though, because, like, if I went just building a traditional face, yeah, but I can buy skills in Shadowrun that change the game. Same here, right? Like, you have a skill point system that you can buy into. So even if you start, like, Emmett didn't start off as a fucking dog in fucking melee combat. Like, I was a big boy, but, like, I spec'd into it as we went on, right? And like, I think that is what, like, having these sorts of system, and something we're going to have to lean into just by the nature of, like, a wide skill diversity that we have, is, that you're going to have to work to build, right?
Yeah.
You're not, like, right off the bat, you're going to be weak. People are going to make squishy characters. Fuck, last night I was playing Pathfinder. Our witch got one shot in, like, our second combat. One shot. I mean, like, and we're talking about making a dangerous game with specialization.
That is true.
So, like,
I have said multiple times, actually, that I do want this to be a very dangerous game, so...
And I think the knee-jerk reaction is, like, we want to balance things. But, like, when we get too deep into balancing, we sometimes take out, like, the meaningful choices, right? Now, it's probably also the case that, like, we should consider looking at our attributes and skills and being like, do we need all of these? Like...
Oh, yeah.
Because I was thinking about, like, making NPC stat blocks. And, like, I don't think I want NPC stat blocks to be the same as player-facing character sheets are, right?
No, absolutely not.
So, my head was in this place of, like, well, we could probably condense NPC stats into 3 stats based off the armor node, health node, movement node, and then apply those across social situations as well based on, like, this is your, like, biologic skills. So, like, and then I was thinking, well, then fuck, why can't we do that to the player characters? And then I was like, well, no, because, like, I do like having skill diversity in players that has a more impactful choice and build to it than an NPC necessarily needs. So, but, like, these are the kinds of things we're going to have to be playing around with.
Now, I completely agree with what you said before, and this is something that L5R does really, really well. Like, in the actual PC character sheet, you have, like, 1 billion skills to choose from. Each of them is affected by, like, the 5 rings. And, like, they do a great job of literally just simplifying it down to, like, okay, like, here's your martial skills, your social skills, your scholar skills, artisan skills, or whatever. Like, it's, like, 4 things that you have to keep track of for NPCs. And I completely agree. I think that is 1,000% something that we should do when we get to the point of making NPCs. Okay, I want to go back to your actual system here. So
and this was the other thing I was going to say. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
The worry you have of balancing these skills too is also easily solved through progression by the fact that we have a feat-based system, and we've already made feats where it's like, you roll these skills instead of this skill if you're trying to do something.
Sure. Or re-roll to
Yeah.
get a better result.
So, like, I think
Yeah.
feats are going to bring a lot of balance here as well.
That's a good point. Okay, so what we've also done here, and I just want to acknowledge this, we've basically made the player's AC into their movement. If you roll to hit me, and your roll is higher than my movement, then you hit me, and I have to roll to resist. Correct?
So they're all kind of phases to pass through, right? Like,
Yeah.
our armor, like your movement is the first phase of your armor class, which I think you could argue that, like, in Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, games with traditional armor class, like, that is normally the case, right? Like, dexterity bonus is what increases your armor class because you're dodging and shit. So
here's my issue, and this is really at the core of my actual question. If your roll is greater than my armor nodes and my health nodes, do I have to roll for both of those things?
No, just your health nodes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the idea is that, like, it builds, right? Like, if you go through the first phase of movement, like, okay, now I compare it against armor. Did I make it through armor? No? Well, then I get to reduce your armor, which is going to make you easier to hit next time. But if I did make it through your armor, then I'm hurting your health directly.
Okay, so if it's less than the armor, then they roll to resist armor node loss. If it's more than the armor, then they roll to resist health node loss.
Yep.
Okay, one sec, because I actually need to change that in the doc. So I fucked that up. So if it's less than the armor nodes, they roll to resist armor. If it's greater than the armor nodes... okay, what if they roll higher than... Okay, two questions here, actually, and I'm going to write down both of them.
Yep.
What happens to a character with higher armor than health? And also, what happens if someone rolls higher than both?
Well, okay, so to answer the second question, if they roll higher than both, then they're hurting your health nodes.
Well, aren't you're rolling to resist health node loss anyways if it's higher than your armor but lower than your health, right?
No. So the only phases you're passing through are, I'm comparing them against your movement nodes. If I'm over your movement nodes with my 2 hit roll, then I'm comparing against your armor nodes. If I'm over, if I rolled a 16 and you have 15 armor nodes, then you're going to roll to resist health node loss.
Okay, so all of this is happening in a single roll.
One roll. Yeah, that was the idea. One roll. It was because we were going to do the resistance thing. I was like, this has to be one roll to phase through these two things, right?
Okay, cool. And then in that case, it doesn't really matter if they have higher armor than health. Because you're not
just
checking against health at all.
Yeah, it's comparing basically like a crusader or a paladin versus a barbarian. Both of them are tanks, but they're tanks in different ways. I'm a tank because I'm highly armored. A barbarian's a tank because they have so much health that, like, even if I hit their health, fuck it.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got it to spare. Okay, cool. Let me see here. Okay, so it's really just determining... Okay, yeah. So then we need to get to your first question. What amount is actually reduced?
Damage resolution, like the actual damage hit.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know. There's a couple different ways to approach it. Like, we're talking about all weapons and items as if they have feats. So, like, do we throw feats on weapons that are like, this one does bludgeoning damage, this one does poison damage, yada, yada, yada?
Right.
Or do we throw feats on weapons like, this does a d6 damage, this does a d8 damage? My worry with this is... So this is a question of, do we want to have more gear-specific game or a more skill-specific game? Because if we want more skill-specific game, then we go with just like the die roll of whatever you rolled for the skill. Because it's... And the benefit here is that it reduces the amount of that we have to worry about equipment, and it reduces the amount of rolls that we're going to do on a hit. So instead of... Because if we go the other way with it, the not benefit of going the other way is that we're going to be rolling to hit, they're going to be rolling resistance, and then I'm going to be rolling damage. That's 3 roll resolution. That's going to turn combat into a slog.
I agree.
However, more equipment diversity can be more rewarding too, because like I know what I'm going to like. The scale of my roll is based on my hit, like my 2 hit.
Well, what if you just combined, I mean, if we're talking about feats and stuff, what if you just combined the feat into the initial 1 roll?
What do you mean?
Like I have a machine gun or something. I attack you with it. We established that I get past your movement, I get past your armor. So whatever happens, I'm gonna be taking what's the word? Health nodes. And in the feat that is this item, right? It says, you take, it reduces health nodes by like 3 or something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean that's actually a pretty elegant way to deal with it too. Like have the but I mean it's the same question, right? I mean I think that resolves like the extra roll, which I like that. That's a pretty elegant. But it is a question of like, do we want to make this more gear dependent damage or skill dependent damage? And maybe it's the case that like if we do it that way, maybe it's like well, no, because I wouldn't want to add plus ranks, because we have, like, 30 is the, like, seems like the upscale amount that you could have of any nodes, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely going to be cases where you could have more than that, but, like, that seems like, 10, 10, 10, 10. That is, like, what it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I got to 11 nodes in something when we were doing the 200.5. But
I mean, I kind of like the feat as like the damage built into the equipment, or in the case of you're a magic user, whatever the spell you're casting or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually think I dig that, because like it could have interaction with other feats. Like, say I have a feat that's like, oh, use this feat to add the ranks of this attribute to the damage on your next attack or whatever. Like, like there's interplay there, and I think it ties into the idea of this being a feat-based game.
I think it makes sense as a feat. The only thing I think that I would worry about is I'm worried that's going to be boring. That every time I attack you with my machine gun, it takes 3 health nodes if I beat you, and so that's that. So I mean,
it's
a trade-off.
Yeah,
for sure.
It is a trade-off. It's like, I think if we take the skill-based approach and take like whatever the die roll was, I think it's an elegant solution as well, and I think it's swingier. If we take the feat-based equipment solution, I think that it's an elegant solution that is more static.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Like, this is that's a toughie. I don't know. Like, do we want that situation as if you're playing like Savage Lands, where it's like you can get those insane rolls that fucking reduce?
Oh God, yeah. Well, because I mean that's the thing, I think you've said this a couple of times. Is like, I want this to feel like a game when it comes right down to it, and like the purpose of a game is ultimately to have fun, and I don't know. Having those crazy high rolls is fucking fun.
Yeah.
Like it's an exhilarating part of any of these games, even if it's not the reason you play it. Like people go fucking nuts when they, roll a critical hit. It's a great fucking feeling. So I don't know. I mean, because the other thing you could do, right, is you could use this built-in feat system, and you could say it uses D4 damage or whatever.
But that goes down to the same issue of now we have 3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a 3-roll resolution.
Like I
don't know
I
how
don't
to
want
ramp.
combat to be I don't want combat to become a slog, and I think both of these solutions will make it not sloggy, but like
they're losing something in the process.
yeah, like I think that like going by the skill die resolution, we're going to like it kind of feels like progression gets more boring. Right?
Yeah.
Like, because, like, I'm like, well, if I want to increase damage, this is how I do it. Like,
It also is worth noting that because we don't have skills for, like, the difference between, for example, like a handgun versus a rocket launcher, if we're going skill-based, you could theoretically do as much or more damage with a handgun than you could with a rocket launcher, and that just seems kind of fucked.
I mean, it's kind of fucked, but it also plays into this idea of, like, what you were saying, when you get those ridiculous rolls. Like, and this is the thing we were talking about, too. Like, rolling a d12 on something and getting that 12 if it's damage is like, yes! We fucking did it! Like, we just took down a fucking... Like, that feels cool. Rolling that d12 and knowing I'm going to do 5 node loss if I get through, like that makes me play more tactically for sure. Like it makes building. I think it makes crafting more fun.
Yeah.
So like that's the thing. It's play versus progression on these things. I know that's a toughie. Like,
really is.
I think. Well, and here's the thing. Write down both of them.
Oh, I do. I have both of them.
Because that brings me to the next thing that we're going to be talking about is once we get the do our caravan playtest, our next playtest has to be combat.
Yeah.
And if we have both of these ideas, we can play them both, and like, because that's the issue. We don't know how they play.
Yeah, that is very true.
In fact, write down like damage, like rolling the three roll resolution too. Because if we don't feel like it yet, I mean, we might as well. But like that being said, I think that like this is a good damage resolution system within the framework of the game that we have.
Yeah.
Like we have the mechanic there. It's just a matter of how we work out the very end of it. And like and props to us, we're also adhering to our original idea, which is like we wanted to split the uprights between wound points and like traditional HP, right? Like I think this does that.
This does a good job of that, I think.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's something that,
it's exactly what we've been running into for the last like 3 months, which is just like we're not gonna know till we play test.
We have to play test, yeah.
Yeah, it's just we're hitting that stage of development. So
Okay, and like cool thing here, Taylor, we need to have all of these answered for 1E in 17 weeks past this. Because 17 weeks past this...
Don't put that into weeks.
Yeah, 17 weeks past this is my birthday.
Oh, fuck. That's when we were supposed to have 1E done.
That's when we're supposed to have our alpha rule set 1E.
Oh, God.
Ready for zine print.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Hey, it's Elstragoon.
Hey!
Nice to have you with us. Hang on, wait. I know your face.
Oh, he's raiding with
Sorry, that was like a thing.
Oh, hell yeah. He's raiding. What up? We're running into more issues where we need to playtest.
No one could have seen this coming.
That being said, we're like we're hitting a stride. Yeah, for real. So we've been talking because last stream you watched, we built characters, and I was also dying during it. Funny story. But I realized during the middle of that character creation, like, oh, I hope that nobody asks how you reduce health nodes or armor nodes, because I don't know. Oh.
So yeah, what you're looking at now is Corey's damage resolution system, which actually, Corey, we didn't really change this at all. Like, it's a solid system. Basically, yeah, you get to you roll using like a skill die plus like the associated attribute, and then the defending player
Compares
Oh,
it.
if it's sorry, so I gotta make sure I understand this. So, if the value of that roll is higher than the target's movement, it's a hit. In that instance, the player needs to roll either Clockwork and Hardiness or Adaptation and Composure, depending on whether or not it is lower or higher than the target's armor nodes.
Yep.
I am correct in that, right?
Correct. Yeah. So
Okay.
it goes through. It passes through the filter of movement, passes through the filter of armor to hit, and it's all one roll. And then we need to resolve the actual amount reduced, which is where we come into our issue of how do we want our game to be swingier or a more methodical approach. And yeah, that's boy.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next bit of this, Taylor.
Yeah, we got to do Caravan, right?
Yeah, and I think the best way to do this is work. I want you to break down your caravan system to me, and I'm going to build the character sheet along to it.
Okay. Cool. I haven't looked at this in a long time.
Well,
Give me a minute.
I think this is a good stress test for either one of our concepts too. Like, we're going to defend it by building it, and like,
Yeah.
yeah. I think one thing I want to talk about here is like, first things first. Why do we want a caravan system? Right? Like that,
Is that a rhetorical question, or are you asking?
no, I'm asking that. Like, we want a caravan system in this game.
Yeah.
We want, like, why do we want it? We need to defend that point and make sure it's important enough to have in the game to like justify making a mechanics section behind it, right?
Okay. So, to answer that question, then, the reason that I think it's important to have a caravan in this game is because this game is supposed to be all about developing a sense of community, right? As a Vault Peddler, you are stepping into the shoes of these people who live, eat, and breathe and sleep with this group of people 24/7 all the time. These people are like your family, whether found or whether they're like actual family, whatever. The point is that without the caravan, you do not survive.
Right.
And the central mechanical point of that, and actually the thing I'm leaning more into, the more I look at the way this game develops, is that the caravan, when you build it appropriately, gives you additional dice to use while you're in the middle of a contract when things get hairy, when things get really rough. And it's that idea that no matter what, no matter where you go, that found family, that real family, whatever it is, that family is there for you when you need them the most. So for me, I think that the caravan system is not only a unique thing in this game, I think it's an essential part, not just of making it through this world mechanically, but also just of telling the story of people living on Eva.
And I think that, like, to pile onto that, one of the themes of our game is, like, mercantilism, right?
Yeah.
It is an essential theme of that game. And having a pile of resources in front of you that dwindles as you play and you have to play the bank on, like,
Yeah.
that is a fun mechanic as a table. I think it goes to theme of game, and it goes to theme of setting, and it also goes to theme of game, which is like, we're doing table talk. We're talking about these resources, how we're going to spend them. So,
Yeah.
I mean, in that sense, I would totally agree. One thing that I worry about is adding mechanical complexity on top of our game. Adding, like, something that sits on top of it, and it's just a fucking foot, you know? I don't like, I don't want to add that, like, magic system that you have to learn another game mechanic to play, and that is going to be tacked on and nobody gives a shit about beyond, like, the caravan resources.
Yeah.
So that's my worry going in.
And I certainly think that your system did a better job of avoiding that than mine did. In all fairness, I think that mine is really mechanically heavy. I think that it's, I think it's cool.
I also think it's cool. Let me state that. Like, I think it's fucking cool, but it almost feels like it's its own game.
It definitely is going to be. It's big.
Yeah.
I think is the thing. So let's you wanted to walk through this little piece by piece, and we sort of build a caravan together.
Yeah, let's build the caravan. No, let's build the caravan character sheet. We need to build the framework that we're going to build, that we're going to play test the character, like, building this on, right?
Okay.
So what are the essential components? And I'm going to try to build it along with you.
What we need first is we need a bar graph. A bar graph that goes up to 5, and ideally listed in, like, half-point increments. So starting at 0, 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.53, 3.54, 4.5, and then at the top of the y-axis is 5.
So on that note, would it make more sense to just have 10 nodes for each of those if we're going to continue on theme?
Yeah, you know what? I don't see any reason why not. Yes.
Okay, so we will. I hope that I place everything correctly, because this is the one fun thing about using Google Sheets, is that, like, I can't have one cell. I don't know how to make one cell bigger and then the rest of that line not be the same, you know?
I'm not going to lie. I have said on every job application that I am fluent in Microsoft Excel. That is a fucking lie.
Okay.
I'm pretty set on the rest of those applications. I fucking suck at Excel. I'm really bad at it. So I cannot judge you.
So we need 5 of these, right?
No, it would have 4. It would have 4 bars on the.
So four attributes basically is what we're talking about
Yes.
here.
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
so you want to list the names for me?
Yeah, sure. So what I had, and what we'll go with for now at least, is R&D, command, support, and intel.
Then we are going to take shift 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we are going to turn actually all of these into view cell actions. Data validation. We are going to change these into checkboxes. Save. And then we are going to reduce the size of these to fit them and make them checkbox oriented.
Okay.
And now we have essentially the bar graphs here, right?
Correct. We would need 5 more rows of those, though, if we're doing each of them as their own node.
Oh, I thought you said they were going up to 5 with each as a half point. Isn't that 10?
It would be 10, but you only have 5 rows there. 5 columns.
So it's going across, like, this is all R&D.
Oh, I see. I'm an idiot. Sorry. Okay.
No, you aren't.
No, you're not. Don't say that about my friend.
Yeah, you're just looking at it in a different angle, that's all. And then we can do this.
Oh, go.
Sorry. And I'm just
No, go ahead.
You keep talking. I'm just going to clean it up a little bit.
No, by all means. Well, I was actually just going to tell you that the the caravan creation in this, I made incredibly simple.
Yeah.
So the way that I did it is just at the start, a group of caravanners are given 20 nodes. So this is a point-buy system. And basically, what we're going to do, since we have... Oh, no, it would still be 20. Yeah. So yeah, all we're going to do basically is you and me would sit down and work out what we want our caravan to be highest in.
Okay, how do we how do we delineate that? Do we get a certain set amount of number to put in everything? Like, how is that number derived? Like how are we what is the point cost that we are putting into these to buy that, right?
No, you're just given 20 nodes and you just put them where you want them.
20 is the answer, Corey.
Okay, gotcha. I was like, what?
I just missed that part.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, basically we would just sit here and if there was a third, if Adam was here, we would basically say okay, so what kind of caravan do we want to have? And I would say, well, I definitely want to have several levels in R&D. I think that's super important.
Okay.
And then I don't know what do you think you want? What's most appealing to you as far as
isn't that 8? I'm sorry.
No, it'd be at just 4. So that'd be
okay, gotcha.
16.
3 nodes. Oh, okay. Then I think that we should have. Oh, so is this it beyond feats? There's no other no other things I need to make for the character sheet then.
Yeah, so this is actually what I was saying before about I sunk into this a lot, and since building characters and sort of moving forward in character creation, I actually think that if we're gonna have caravan feats in provinces and stuff, I don't think we're gonna need that sheet for I don't think we're gonna need that sheet for I don't think we're going to need a feats section in the caravan sheet. Sorry, I don't know why my brain is completely short-circuited.
Okay.
So yeah, total nodes.
Then I guess my question here is, how do we generate caravan resources off of this then?
Oh, so tell you what, can we fill out the can we just do the 20 nodes and then I will show you how that works?
Absolutely, yeah.
So we have 16. We have Ptolemy's 20. So fuck. What is the difference between support and intel? I guess is my question.
Yeah, so intel would basically be like world information.
Okay.
So this can be stuff that's going on in like other cities. If we're all the way out in Ishtas, we can use radio programs to find out what's going on in Orad or Vigil. If there are any huge like cataclysmic world events, like you can occasionally get signals out from the islands, but typically need a pretty high level for that.
Okay.
Support is basically the resources for people that are actually living in the caravan. So think about your blacksmith, right?
Yeah.
Think about your medic, think about your cook.
Okay.
These are basically the health and welfare of the people living there.
Okay. In that case, I think like one thing I think we should consider too is like if we end up going this route is throwing the what do you call it when you're the negotiation phase into these skills as well, so we don't have contract negotiation and the caravan sheet. It feels like intel would be a great place to throw that lot in under somehow.
I completely agree with that.
I'm gonna put 4 points in intel.
Oh, I didn't have it set up as doing 4 points at a time, but I may want to actually do that. On that note,
wait, you put 4 points into something.
I did. I honestly was just picking a random number, and you followed suit. Okay. So now we're doing 4 points at a time. I'm gonna do 4 points into support.
Okay, so that's 12, leaving us with 8 left. So I'm gonna go ahead and put 2 points into command.
Okay.
And then 2 points into R&D.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna do 2 points into support and intel.
Okay.
Okay, and is that all 20? I think.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let me show you how this works then. So I have these things segmented between different die types. So points 1 and 2 on this, I didn't really know how to communicate this. But for example, these two here, right, are your first 2 on that bar graph. They are, if you were doing it vertically, they are the lowest ones. So they are technically the lowest die type. So both of those are D4s. Okay. And same thing with these 2 here, and these 2 here, and these 2 here. So what we have here, Corey, in our caravan dice pool is we have 8 D4s.
So like this, basically, could we align it vertically?
I don't know how to do that, but yes, we definitely could.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You just go like this, and then we have 8 D4s.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Oh, shit. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry. My bad, I didn't reorganize.
Let's see here. There, and then there. Yeah, okay, cool.
I see. Yeah, you have to build up to those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what you're looking at right now is our dice pool. We talked at the beginning of this game about how we wanted like a really big pool of dice, like sitting in the middle of the table. And what we've done here is, I think we've got this huge amount of dice, and over the course of gameplay, right, we'll start using them up. Maybe we start really small. Maybe we start with D4s as the mission begins, and then when things start getting really bad, we start using like D8s. But the cool thing here is, right, let's say for example, a mission goes really well, and we only end up using our D4s, right? So like that's all that we used for the entire thing.
Yeah.
So these D6s and D8s, they don't stay where they are. They depreciate over value over time, the same way that real resources would depreciate. So at the end of the next mission, you are left with what we're looking at here. Now, good news is, right, it still didn't go very badly, right? We don't have to recoup a lot of this stuff. We definitely will need to buy some more D4s, which it looks like, according to the chart I have here, a D4 is 10 petty coin. So good news for us there, right? Let's say it was a small job. That's why it didn't cost us a lot. And we ended up with something in the neighborhood of like 100 petty coin for, I don't know, clearing out a weevil nest or something. We spend 20 to replace these guys here. And then we start looking at the D8s, and holy shit, those guys are already 50 petty coin.
Do you have to buy? Oh, yeah. You can't. You already answered this. You can't. You cannot go up. You have to like. You can't just go to a D8. You have to have full D4s before you buy the D8s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You have to work your way up. Although, I don't know. Thinking about it, I might be open to changing that. It might make sense that the party would want to.
Elstragoon,
want to do that.
To answer your question, you can go less than D4, but then you can't have anything in command support. You can't, like, if you run out of D4s in command, you can't have anything else in it until you replenish those D4s with cost. In this case, we're taking our meta currency petty coin as the cost. And what is the cost of everything? D4s are 10.
D4 is 10, D6 is 25, D8 is 50, D10 is 100, and D12 is 200. I made it so that the upper levels are incredibly expensive and incredibly hard to get.
Yeah. And we would just click these off as we go through, basically. During a run, we will click these off as we use them. And that's how we keep track of the ones, or we don't even need to keep track of the ones we spent. They were a limited resource. We spent them. And
well, we definitely need to keep track of what we spent, though. I mean, that's...
Why?
If you don't... Well, because if I finish a contract and I haven't marked off how many D6s I've used, then I don't know what I need to replenish.
I mean, I can replenish that. See, what I'm seeing here is a shop, right? Like before,
yeah.
Before we go in, we buy the resources we want. In that case, though, like, so I guess my issue with it in that case is that like it feels very like R&D doesn't mean we just say R&D. And we're just buying die. If we remove these, it doesn't change anything, right?
That is interesting. In my head, when I initially made it, I did have an idea that there were going to be associated feats with all of these different things, and that was why I had named them different things.
Right.
Honestly, I don't know. Like, your comment is absolutely fair. As it sits now, you definitely don't need these things at all. You could literally just have a dice buying system that it, I don't know, has narratively been tied to the caravan, but really that isn't necessarily tied to it at all.
So, Elstragoon, this is what we're trying to delineate right now. Is we're going through each of the caravan systems we had planned out and trying to draw out a character sheet for them, so we can try playtesting both of them and explain them to each other as well.
Yeah.
Now, the issue we ran into here is because we had talked about off stream the idea of actually exactly what you said, caravan being built up by player characters, where the jobs in the caravan are fulfilled by feats that you buy, and that's how you get those like downtime activities. Whether it be replenishing magical resources, replenishing health, fixing armor if you're a blacksmith, whichever one is, those kinds of things. And so with that thought, we're running into the issue of like, the original thought here is that taking off this is that R&D, command, support, and intel, as Taylor initially envisioned it, was there would be feats tacked on to those, and as those depreciated, you'd lose availability to those feats. So here is... I actually don't hate the idea of a shop-buy system for resources. And I think because like my issue with this as it stands is like it is very transient, which is cool. Like where like it changes around a lot, but it also doesn't give definition to our caravan. Like
I think that's fair.
Yeah. However, we talked off stream, Taylor, about the idea, the potentiality of having like buying NPCs basically as a part of your community who make up the caravan, and then that the players have feats that are jobs that control that mechanized downtime. What if the NPCs you buy are like the access to those shops, right? Like, the NPCs that build your community give you access to buying, I don't know. And this is where we run into the issue of like, people and the community as feats, which is like what I keep coming back to for some reason. Man, I don't know. Cause I like the idea of a shop. I don't think I dig the idea of it like being as transient as this. Is like we gain those points back as we spend them. I love the idea that we're like buying these with either advancement points, or we're buying them with petty coin, as you said. So I don't know. I do dig the idea of buying things.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Looking at it now, especially since I've kind of abandoned feats in general, I don't know. I'm still kind of stuck on the whole thing about like it's not really specific to the actual caravan itself. It's kind of what you said. It's transient. It's very general.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't think is inherently a bad thing, but
no.
I would definitely be interested to see something that is maybe a little bit more tied into what we have now. Because the other thing is, it is kind of tacked on.
Well,
it's a very different system.
And beyond that, like the reasoning you gave for wanting a caravan system is we were talking about community. This doesn't feel like a community. This feels like a store, which I think the idea of a store also plays into the idea of mercantilism. Like, I don't hate that. It's a matter of which direction we want to go with it, and like, and maybe it's splitting the difference here, because like I like the node system as dice here too. Like I like that setup. I like the idea of purchasing that or buying those and then utilizing those that way.
Yeah.
Let's answer.
I'm also kind of interested in
6 and D8 and R&D. So that would be the idea that I was pitching. Yeah, like Rolf gives us the ability to buy a D6 and or D6s and D8s in R&D, but the idea is like how does that like play into coloring the caravan too? Like what does it mean when we have an R&D NPC? Like, are we just buying mechanized dice? Is that it? Or like how are we coloring that? I guess is my I'm stuck on the narrative on this one for some reason.
Yeah. I think that the other thing too is looking at it this way, I don't really think that the hierarchy of dice is necessary. It really only seems like it benefits players like at the beginning, but I mean, fuck, man, if you have 200 petty coin and you want to buy a D12 and you don't have anything else in it, why wouldn't I just let you buy that D12? Like, it's a fucking D12.
Yeah.
It's like swingy on its own. It's swingy by its own nature. You're not even guaranteed like a really high roll if you use a D12.
No.
And if you spent all of your petty coin
To get it
on a single D12 just to use it the next mission, fuck, like why wouldn't I do that?
So maybe maybe this isn't it. I don't think we have to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Like,
Yeah.
And maybe it's the case of splitting the difference here too. Maybe you like open up access to different die type and different different die type with improvement points, and then you rebuy them with petty coin. I don't know. Like,
So Elstragoon, to answer your question, is there some metric success part of the game after a mission where you evaluate your profits? Yes. At the end of a mission, at the end of a successful contract, you get this payout, and then it is up to you and your party to divide that between what you're going to spend on caravan resources versus what you're going to spend on your own personal character improvement. Or at least that is my understanding of it.
right. And I think that's like where I get hung up on the idea of community. Like the idea, like how do we make that like the desire to dump that back into the community, which is our caravan, right? Like,
Yeah.
we got to give it pull.
I think that the fucked up thing here is, I mean, we're trying to make something that is supposed to be narratively focused on community, which is mechanically inherently selfish and not communal.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what I'm struggling with, is like, we keep trying to dress this thing up as like, oh, it's community and it's like knowing other people, but like really you're just buying dice to help yourself. And
I mean, maybe we lean into the cutthroat nature of it. I don't think that's bad either. But like, do we ditch the? I mean, and this is what I was saying before. Like, do we ditch the idea of this shared caravan? And that hurts. But like, maybe we mechanize it in a narrative way. I don't know, man. Like, I keep coming back to like, if so, so what? Like, if we're going to do it, we got to make it fucking matter, you know?
yeah, exactly. There's no point in having this as like a little side thing that isn't necessary.
No.
And the thing is, mechanically, I do think that this is necessary.
I do too.
From everything that this game is building up to be, it's going to be a very cutthroat game. It's just going to be a very merciless game, and you are going to want to have those extra dice around. I don't know. I'm just the more I'm looking at this, the more I'm stuck on it.
Yeah, and maybe we need to fuck. I don't even want to say it. Maybe we need to look at like, well, maybe we need to look at like more narrative focused games for this idea. Like, maybe it is in these downtime periods, like we look at like games like Mouse Guard and stuff, where like you're building up like your relations with people, and that's how you recover things, and maybe that's why it's important to have the. I don't know. So and also, what if parts of your caravan affected the limit on how high you could even roll? That's interesting too. Like, without an RNG guy, you can't get higher than a 14 on charisma, even if you. Oh, that's actually.
Oh, that's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, having a limiter based on, and you know what? That would solve the sort of issue that I'm having with coloration. Like, we're going to be more charismatic. Like, our base characters are going to be. It does increase the idea of like, yeah. Can we write that down on the Vault Peddlers 1E?
Yeah. Once again, Elst Dragoon is making our game for us. Thank you so much. Thanks, buddy.
Now, like, I think there's inherent issues in that. Like, if I want to make, well, maybe it's not inherent issues. It takes the idea of table talk into character creation too. Like, but then, like, oh man, yeah. Well, no, because we want to avoid homogenization, which is something I've been like pretty keen on with the character creation side of things, and like recently, like not having like leaning into people who want to build like super stealthy or super fucking super speaky big talkers. This actually brings up an interesting thing too that I've been kind of rolling around in my head, but I haven't voiced. What if the limiters here are how many feats you can bring in to a into a run with you? So I kind of got this.
Like if you're at a D6, you could bring in like 3 feats as opposed to like a D8 where you can bring in 4.
Yeah, and even like going off of what Elst Dragoon said here, maybe it like limits like the kinds of feats we can bring with us too. Like I kind of stole this. I was thinking about Guild Wars. Did anyone here play Guild Wars? Yeah, there's no limit on what you can limit. So Guild Wars had this like interesting take on the MMO genre where like, yeah, you could have like all of these sweet like class-based abilities, but when you go into like an instanced area, you can only bring 6 abilities with you. So you have to choose which abilities you want to bring. So like it brought down this like it made a trade out for I could play with someone who was a much higher level than me in Guild Wars because, like, we had the same amount of skills available to us. They just had a wider variety to choose from. And
right,
maybe this is, like, in the same vein of what Elst Dragoon was saying. Like, this would, like, limit the presentation of our caravan if, like, I can only bring so many talking feats into yada yada situation. I don't know. I think that's an interesting idea. Setting limits based on the caravan construction is a neat way to do it. I don't know.
You know, what you could do, honestly, is we could go through our existing feats and label them between R&D, command, support, and intel, and just say, if you don't have any ranks in these things, you don't get these feats.
Yeah. Or maybe like, ooh. You buy, I'm merging things here. You buy with your improvement points in character creation the level of dice that you can have up to in R&D, command, support, and intel. And then, before you go into a session, you can buy whatever amount of die or NPC. But basically, the amount of die you buy is tied to the amount of feats that you can bring in with you with the R&D, command, support, and intel. So they're like, you know, we put all of these die. Man, well, now I'm kind of getting back to the idea that this is more transient and less defined. Because I do like the idea that, like, if we dump a shitload into command, or like we have like a very aggressive caravan, and like how is that colored? How are we perceived in the world because of that? I don't know why I'm harping on narrative lately, Taylor. No, you're not muddying waters.
No, the waters are already fucking mud now.
It's murky as hell, and it has been like.
Yeah, it's been muddy since like day one of trying to figure this out.
And how it is like we've also been like stuck in our own heads and our own thought patterns and like not thinking outside of like our own processes that we've already established. So we're not evolving like Pokemon. I'm not turning into the wheezing I was meant to be. That's the kind of Pokemon I think I'd be.
A Weezing?
Yeah, they're my favorite.
It's pretty tight.
Yeah, they're dope as hell. What's your favorite Pokemon?
I don't think I have one, in all honesty. Like,
That's a lie.
no, I don't think it is. It's not even that I don't like Pokemon. I just, like, there was not really one that I ever was like, oh, yeah, that's me, man. Weezing is a good good answer, but
Yeah,
fuck, I don't know.
It's poison type. They're a little harder to like. The ground's good against them, I think. Like, they're a weird type matchup. Nice, it's a great one. Oh yeah, you can be a music Pokemon.
There are music Pokemon?
Taylor,
Like a
there's 1,000 Pokemon. There's over 1,000 Pokemon.
I know there's like a billion fucking Pokemon. To be clear, I don't know anything past first generation. I'm very much an old head. But like,
Nice.
is there like for real like actual music?
Oh hell yeah!
There's
There's
like Jigglypuff.
No,
Shit,
there's
right?
one that like plays electric guitar and is in a punk band.
Fuck what?
Yeah, dog.
Man, I stopped watching Pokemon way too early.
Hell yeah.
That's tight as hell.
You get him when he's a baby too. I think he was in Sword and Shield
yeah.
actually. He's some diaper wearing idiot that turns into like a punk rocker, and I was like, accurate.
Love it. Love it. Here for it.
Well, so like, okay, and not to deviate onto Pokemon too much, but like, when Pokemon first came out, I was young, and it was like, 151 Pokemon? Hell yeah, I'm gonna catch all of them, just like you said. And like, now I play Pokemon, there's over 1,000 of them, and I'm like, I'm gonna get 6. And that's good.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Thanks.
These are the ones I want.
I would catch them all, but who has the time?
Gotta get that. Oh man. Now I want to play Pokemon.
I actually did play Red through like an emulator on my phone for like the first time in, God, it was probably like 20 years, like earlier last year. And I made it through like a third of the game, and I got to the Psychic Town, and I was like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
Can't do this anymore.
Yeah, Red's, man. I love Pokemon. You know what else is fun? Digimon. You want to know why Digimon are cool? Because Digimon, like, Pokemon can be all kinds of stuff, but, like, they kind of have a framework. Digimon can be fucking anything. Like, some Digimon are just a guy with a gun.
Oh, fuck.
Hell yeah. Now, what are we doing making this game? Let's just make Digimon.
We just make Digimon? I feel like we can just make Digimon. That'd be easy as fuck, actually. Because, like,
It's total chaos.
Well, you could just make every single Digimon, like, a feat. And then, like, that's it.
Well, no, because they have to digivolve, and then beyond that, Taylor, they can start, like, hyper digivolving and then, like, merge digivolving together. Digimon gets pretty wild.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know the fucking lore on Digimon.
Yeah, well, I saw the first movie in theater. Yeah, we'll figure it out later. We'll figure out the IP stuff later. Oh no, Taylor, I lost your sound. Oh wait.
You did?
No, I got you. I pulled out my headphones in excitement.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't know if, like, my mic was maxing out or anything.
So I don't know. Like, Taylor, maybe we need to sometime this weekend put our heads together and like try to jam out a couple character sheets off a couple different, because now it sounds like we got like 4 different concepts and like
Yeah. I don't even know, like, okay, so...
Well, here's another thing, though. We can playtest basic combat. I think if we make NPC stat blocks, like, we know we want to keep the idea of a pile of dice in the game, right?
Yeah.
So, like, we can still playtest basic combat before the caravan resources.
Yeah.
And just see how base combat plays. Like, we can totally do that.
I mean, yeah, I would really like to get the caravan done first, or at least some kind of a version of it ready to go. I mean, next week we should try and build caravan according to your system, because this was mine.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, depending on what happens next week, I don't know, we can fuck off and do like some combat stuff or something like that.
Yeah, I just don't want to get slowed down by anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's I don't know. You're busy this weekend?
So this Saturday I'm actually getting a tattoo. It's already that time again.
Oh damn.
Yeah, Jim Bones is happening this weekend.
Jim Bones!
Jim Bones!
You tried to hurt me with Jim Bones, but the game ended before you could.
I did. The group exploded before I was able to get my sweet, sweet emotional trauma.
Haha, you couldn't emotionally traumatize Gene? He's an idiot. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well,
this has been
thank you. Yeah, this has been great.
We've solved nothing, and I regret nothing.
Nothing changed. Thanks for coming. Thanks for wasting an hour and a half of your time.
Suckers. Elstragon, as always. Talk to you later, buddy. Yeah, man. Well, you know, we should get you on for a stream sometime.
Hell yeah, we should.
Yeah. Come join us in some playtesting once we get to, like, basic combat or something.
Elstragon probably knows our game better than me.
All right, sweet. I'll hit you up here, and we'll figure it out once we get our heads wrapped around goddamn caravans. Later, buddy.
See you later.